To anyone driving towards London on the A1 in the early hours of September the 22nd, 1962, this van would have been just another vehicle delivering something somewhere. For the ICT driver, it was just the next job on his duty rota. Indeed, for the many people who were concerned with this journey, it was just another job too, only a small part of a vast undertaking. This film is a record of that job, of how it was planned, carried out, and successfully completed. Many months before, it had been decided that floor space would be taken at the 1962 Business Efficiency Exhibition to be held at Olympia from the 1st to the 10th of October. And as the advertisements were to say, ICT would spread itself. That spread was the decision to have 4 repeat working computers on show on one stand for the first time in the history of the exhibition. This model of the stand illustrates the precision planning required to install 4 powerful computers in a totally unusual location in less than 10 days. Not everything could be shown on this half-inch-to-the-foot model of the proposed 4,000 square foot stand. Certainly not items like the special underfloor air conditioning required to monitor humidity and temperature. Because there's a lot more to it than meets the eye, an accurate model was essential in planning the exhibition, but translating a scale miniature into a full-sized stand in less than 10 days was another thing. However, it was achieved. Inside the vast echoing emptiness of Olympia, London, acres of expensive concrete had been subdivided and allocated, and this was ICT's little island, with man-sized cables to bring power to the computers with the king-sized performance. Incoming power had to be split up and distributed to every section of the stand, each circuit demanding its own switchgear and protection fuses. As the hours marched by, the power conduits were in, the air conditioning plant installed, and all services were securely tucked into the apron. The way was now clear for the contractors to move in to build the stand itself: walls, dividers, panels, and roofs. In the midst of this orderly confusion, component sections were unscrambled, checked off on the plan, and knitted together to form an impressive lineup of computer power. Because planning of the highest order had been achieved, their commissioning and testing went smoothly forward. As soon as each circuit was through, graduated test programs were run. Programs which had been devised not only to check the functioning of the circuitry, but to isolate and eliminate any bugs which might have crept in during dismantling, transport, and reassembling. By early evening on the 29th of September, the installation was complete. The computers had been tested and were in perfect working order, on schedule to the minute, in record time. Further proof, if it were needed, of ICT's planning and teamwork at its best. And then it was Monday, October the 1st, pre-exhibition, when admission was, in official language, by invitation only. One of ICT's deputy chairman, Mr. Cecil Mead, and managing director, Mr. John Bull, welcomed the Lord Mayor of London, Alderman Sir Frederick Hoare, and his party to the stand. The exhibition was visited by over 140,000 during the 9-day run of the show. ICT's chairman, Sir Edward Playfair, in a comprehensive tour of the stand area, saw for himself the company's contribution to this huge shop window of business equipment, and that the range covered every important area of computer technique and application, and at the same time provided the answer to any organization posing the question, how best can we use a computer? One of the features he must have noticed was the care which had been taken to provide each computer with a practical demonstration designed to appeal to all kinds of business, He saw, for example, the 558 computer, which has been designed to work with the smaller 40-column punched card equipment. One of the demonstrations showed standard costing with comprehensive variance calculations. This computer is visualized for organizations which have already achieved a high degree of mechanization with punch card machines in the 40-column card range. And it can handle the vast majority of commercial processing requirements and make logical decisions where necessary. In keeping with ICT's policy of versatility, the 1101 computer has been provided with 16 input-output channels, which can, if required, all be in use at once. The 1101 has a central processor and peripheral devices which are individually buffered, and with the exception of the paper tape reader, all units can be linked for offline working. The computer was set up to demonstrate payroll, piecework, time work, and bonus calculations with analysis of labor costs by department, the preparation of stock market yield tables, and further, under the mnemonic PERT, the control and review of policies and projects by critical path methods made practical by the use of computers. The 1301 demonstrated invoicing, both currency and language-wise, by switching from one language to another in English, Dutch, Italian, French, and German. As a variant, a second demonstration showed the production of renewal notices for vehicle insurance based on the stored underwriting history of each policy. With deft fingertips, an operator sets up the computer on the clearly displayed console. Almost instantaneously, the required data appears on the line printer. At the same time, a typical configuration of the 1500 computer was demonstrating the flexibility of its multiple input, output, and storage facilities. The demonstration showed how stores could be controlled by monitoring stock levels and consumption, forecasting future requirements up to the actual printing of orders on suppliers, and how the continuous expansibility of the 1500 allowed it to take in its stride ever-increasing volumes of stores movements. At other times, another demonstration attracted much interest. It was the high-speed analysis of branch sales, where the current performance of each branch was compared and contrasted with the figures for the previous year. Other exhibitors were using ICT machines. For example, boroughs were producing punched cards as a byproduct of a Sensimatic keyboard accounting machine operation linked to an ICT Type 29 automatic key punch. The Monroe Calculating Machine Company Limited had an ICT 235 gang punch and tag reader to transfer the data in Kimball tags to 80-column cards. The National Cash Register Company Limited were also using the Type 29 automatic punch linked to a keyboard machine. J. Wilkes and Company Limited had a 902 tabulator, as did the Lamson Paragon Company Limited, both demonstrating continuous stationary output. As the days went by, it emerged that one of the most important features of an exhibition of this type was the direct contact between the men behind the computers of ICT and their friends in industry throughout the world. Group after group, individuals on their own, teams from organizations, overseas buyers, trade delegations, reporters, television and newsreel cameramen, all formed an ever-changing flow of people during the crowded hours of the exhibition. This was an exhibition where every man jack could talk to specialists and no punches were pulled, either in shrewd question or frank answer from the systems advisors on the stand. The direct communication of man-to-man against a set of the latest electronic artifacts for modern management proved a stimulating and worthwhile payoff to the long hours of preparation and planning which had gone into this venture. Because the demonstrations had been selected to appeal to management in industry, commerce, science, and government in all its manifestations, keen interest was aroused and maintained for the duration of the show. Quite apart from the valuable goodwill which was generated, education and training were carried out. Many people found at this exhibition within an exhibition that their interest was triggered into wanting an actual investigation into their own problems. Naturally, the prime purpose of the show was to sell computers and punched card machines, and several contracts were completed on the stand. Orpington Council, for example, in the person of Councillor J.W. Bray, placed an order for a 558 computer to implement their existing installation. On another day, Mr. Dudley Hooper, president of the British Computer Society, not content with the average visitor's eye view, took over the controls of the 1101 computer. The various magnetic tape installations provided interesting demonstrations of the extended storage facilities available with the 1101, 1301, and 1500. Later in the week, an official order was placed for a 1500 by Ansell's Brewery in the person of their financial director, Mr. J.A. Gopsill. ICT's 4 computers aroused considerable interest because they covered not only the data processing requirements of medium-sized companies, but the large-scale demands of national and international organizations. Such was the interest in France, for example, in the 1301 computer, that after 6 days in London, it was dismantled after the show closed on Saturday and flown to Paris for installation on the ICT stand at the Salon International de l'Équipement de Bureau, the French equivalent of the BEE, in good time for the opening. The 1301 success is now a byword throughout the world. Meanwhile, in London, the vacant space on the stand was filled by an interesting display of punch card equipment in the 21, 40, and 80 column range. Although, as the years go by, the basic principles of punched card operating don't alter, that is to say, the phenomenon of a hole in a card which actuates a versatile series of equipments, these principles are augmented and enhanced by the continuous growth of electronic development. Indeed, for some time to come, the punched card will remain one of the principal media used to feed data into computers. Meanwhile, in Paris, the 1301 had joined a wide range of other ICT machines at the CICOB exhibition on the stand of ICT France. In London, England, and in Paris, France, the exhibitions marched in step, as indeed they had throughout the year 1962. In Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Delhi, Hanover, Hong Kong, Lagos, Milan, Munich, Singapore, and Stockholm, bringing interesting demonstrations of ICT's range of computers and data processing equipment to businessmen the world over.